Hello, everyone, and welcome to Upstate Capital's Entrepreneurs Resource Guide webinar. I'm Noah Simons, the President and CEO of the Upstate Capital Association, and I'm pleased to welcome you here today. Upstate Capital's main focus is helping to increase access to capital for companies and deal flow for investors. And as such, we sit at the nexus for connections amongst people within the ecosystem across regions within New York and then also outside of New York. So we are a place that people often will come through for finding investors, finding programs, finding resources. And one of the big programs we run is the New York Business Plan competition, so the statewide intercollegiate entrepreneurship competition. And we have seen some real demand from the students, the student teams that we work with as they progress their entrepreneurial journey to be able to access resources. And so to sort of initially to meet that need, and then to in thinking about the broader needs of the community, we've put this program together. And I just want to give a shout out to Bailey Burke for her, developing this concept and executing and bringing everybody together today. So, thank you so much. Bailey, I think I'm happy to talk a little bit more about membership quickly, and then we can touch on a couple of programs, and then I'll introduce you. So we run a number of events throughout the year as Upstate Capital. We have the Buffalo Private Equity Summit, our annual Saratoga Forum for our major sponsors. Venture New York is the early stage event that we put together around the business plan competition finals. And so we have a range of events for earlier stage and later stage investors and entrepreneurs and business owners. We have membership options for each of these folks. So we've just launched this week our new membership program for individuals. And so with a VC community membership for active investors, capital providers and professionals for people working in private equity and on transactions, and then entrepreneurs and executives for business owners and startup founders. So if you're not a member, of course, I'd be delighted to have you join us. And so just talking about a couple of other programs that we run, Bailey, you can advance the slide here. The New York Business Plan competition I mentioned, we also run the executive peer group for in the Hudson Valley, primarily now for established businesses who become sort of peer advisors for each other. We've been running that for 5 years and have 10 members in that group. And our latest initiative is the Invest New York Data Services platform. So this is an ecosystem platform that is mapping startup activity, investment activity, and is a great resource for startups to be able to gain visibility into what's happening in the ecosystem, also to promote their work and their business, both regionally and globally. And there's going to be more, Bailey's going to share more details on this soon. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Bailey so that she can talk a little bit more about Invest New York.
Thank you, Noah. I appreciate it. Invest New York is a data platform mapping the innovation and investment ecosystem across upstate New York, as Noah mentioned. It offers open source intelligence on startup innovation, high growth companies, and investment strategies. This valuable ecosystem resource is built for investors, founders, entrepreneurship innovators, and ecosystem builders. The platform is designed to track and visualize information, including organizations and programs, startup and corporate businesses, venture capital investment activity, and open job opportunities. The platform offers free access to everyone and provides real-time data and insights, improving accessibility, storytelling, and data-driven decision-making. Most of you who are on the call today are entrepreneurs or the professionals that are supporting entrepreneurs here in upstate New York. Entrepreneurs just have to claim their profiles on the platform, and you can get access to sortable lists of investors and resources, increase the visibility of your startup in both the upstate New York ecosystem as well as on the global platform, and find opportunities to recruit new talent. For professionals that track companies in cohorts, you can create lists of your supported companies right on your page. You can search for new companies who match your sector and stage eligibility, and you can gather KPIs to report to on your alumni to your stakeholders. Here's a look at the main dashboard. You can find your saved lists and your published and our published sector and regionally focused reports in the curated content section. In the company section, you could sort the over 15,000 listed companies by sector, stage, location, business model, size, growth, age, industry, founders, patents, more. The current job board has over 700 job opportunities. Those you can filter by location, company size, the tech stack that they use, industry, founders, patents, and more. And job title. Invest New York tracks venture capital investment activity across upstate New York. So you can sort the database of upstate investors based on their sector, focus, or strategy. The other organizations that the platform tracks are corporations, universities, accelerators, government and nonprofits, and service providers. Invest New York is licensed by Upstate Capital, but it is a free community program for everyone. The more people use and contribute to the platform, the better and more effective the platform will become. We partnered with organizations to help offset the cost to run the platform and to offer them unique benefits like premium account access, customized landscapes and iframes, personalized support, ecosystem visibility, and custom reporting. So if you're interested in learning about how you can help support the platform, reach out to me or Noah for more information there. I would love to connect with anybody who is interested in demoing the platform. So here is my contact information, and reach out if you want to set up a time. Back to you, Noah.
Yeah, thank you, Bailey. You've done such a great job sort of putting that together. So again, thank you. we wouldn't be who we are without you. So yeah, so next up, we're going to talk about accelerators, and we've got a number of them in New York. I just want to give a little context to what accelerators are for entrepreneurs. They are duration limited programs meant to accelerate your development and growth as a startup. And so, you know, high level, there's a differentiation between an accelerator and an incubator. Usually an accelerator is a maximum of 12 months. Sometimes they're 3 months. They could be anywhere in between. There are some programs that are time limited, some programs that are less time limited, but generally accelerators are programs that are really designed to bring you the resources that you need when you need them for your specific startup. So we've got a number of them that are active and significant in New York, and I am going to introduce them each as they are here. First up, I'd like to introduce Jen Smith. She is the program director for Grow New York. Hi, Jen.
Hello, Noah. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for inviting me to participate this, and thanks, Bailey, for making it all happen. Yeah, so quickly, Grow New York is a program that culminates in a live pitch competition. It's an accelerator program designed to attract early stage, high growth potential startups into the Grow New York region, which is Central New York, the Finger Lakes, and the Southern Tier. These regions kind of pooled their resources and put forward money for our program to invest in startups. So we give away $3 million each year. There's $1 million top prize investment. We accept applications in the spring. We put the applications through a rigorous judging process, and we end up with 20 finalists with whom we match one-on-one with mentors that are experts in the agri-food system in New York State, in entrepreneurship, and in regional economic development. For a 10-week period, these 20 startups work with their mentors to accomplish some tailored networking within the region. They make a regional trip to get to know some of the potential strategic partners, see some available space, learn more about the infrastructure of the region. They work with our entrepreneurs and residents on developing their business plan further and tailoring it to be able to advance their businesses in the region. We give them some pitch training, and then it all comes together at the Grow New York Summit, which this year is taking place November 14th and 15th in Binghamton. Those 20 teams will pitch their businesses. We'll also have panel conversations, networking events. So it's a really good opportunity to plug into the innovation ecosystem in upstate New York and to advance your understanding of the agri-food system here. We have a long tradition of growing, making, moving, storing, selling food in upstate New York. And so if you're working anywhere in the agri-food system, from the furthest upstream soil health technologies all the way down to a cup of yogurt you'd buy off a shelf in a supermarket, we have resources to offer you. So you can reach out to us at grow-ny at cornell.edu. You can visit our website at grow-ny.com. We would love to see you at the summit in November, and applications for our next cohort, the 6th cohort, will open in spring of 24.
Awesome. Jen, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, because I think all of us can agree that we like eating. So, so you're doing very important work on food and food systems. All right, next up, I am pleased to introduce Kara Jones here from Genius New York.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks everyone for coming. So I'm the director of Genius New York. We are based in central New York, and we're housed at Center State CEO's Tech Garden, which is right downtown Syracuse. So similar to Grow New York, we invest $3 million into 5 companies each year. However, we're focused on uncrewed aerial systems and robotic technologies, mainly in the drone sector. So each year we invite 5 teams to Syracuse, and it's an in-resident accelerator for 1 year. So 5 teams come from around the world. Last year we had all international teams. This year we have 1 team from the UK. But essentially we have them come into Syracuse for the year. We give them resources, mentorship. We give them marketing support, fundraising support. And at the end of the day, our goal at the end of the year is that they want to continue to grow out their business in central New York, create jobs, and contribute to the local economy. So we started Genius New York in 2017. So we're on our 7th cohort. On October 4th, the 5 finalists that are in this cohort will be pitching live on stage for the $1 million grand prize. And also similar to Grow New York, we open our applications early next year. So I'd say probably February, March of 2024. And we select our finalists in May of 2024. So if you're interested in learning more about Genius New York, if you have a startup in the robotics or UAS space, please visit geniusnewyork.com and look for our applications opening early next year. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kara. Next up, I am pleased to introduce Patty Reschberger, who is running the commercialization competition for FuseHub.
Thank you, Noah. The FuseHub commercialization competition is meant to support manufacturing startups. You developed an idea, you have some iteration of your prototype, you're actively working to get it built. The fund is meant to either get your product to market or at least help you become more attractive to other investors. Slide, please. To be eligible to apply, your company must be located in New York State and have a manufacturing NAICS code on your Dun & Bradstreet account. The definition of a manufacturer is pretty broad. For example, breweries are considered manufacturers. Basically, if you create a physical product as opposed to a strictly software company or being a service provider, you'll probably qualify. Your company must have less than $100,000 in total revenue to date and have now received more than $500,000 in grants in the last 2 years. Slide, please. The commercialization competition award is $50,000, and usually we award about 7 projects a year, give or take. When funding allows, we have a grant award of $150,000. Awardees are required to sign a SAFE. Projects awarded are expected to be completed within a year, and the money can be used to further develop your prototype. The application period usually opens in July, and we accept applications for a month. The 2023 application period is closed and applications are being scored. Finalists for this year will pitch live at the New York State Innovation Summit, which is in October in Saratoga Springs. I invite you all to attend the event and check out the pitches. To apply for a future round, you can go to the Fuse Hub website. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Patty. Next, I'm proud to introduce Cindy Sedaris here from 43 North.
Thank you, Noah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. 43 North is an accelerator program. We are based in Buffalo, New York, in the Seneca One Tower, which you can see in the slide there, kind of the one big skyscraper in downtown Buffalo. We invest $5 million per year into seed stage startups, and it is 5 $1 million awards each for 5% equity into those companies. As part of our program, we accept applications that, similar to some of our colleagues at other accelerators, our application opens in the spring. So keep an eye out for that next year around April, May. And as part of our program, the founders that are accepted relocate to Buffalo for 1 year. So we do provide office space in Seneca One Tower in addition to the investment. We also provide mentorship. So we're in our 8th year of the program right now. We have 64 companies that have gone through. So we're really proud to have a close to 60% retention rate of founders and a presence in Buffalo from those companies. So we're excited to be able to pair our current founders that are going through the program with founders who have gone through the program in the past that are a little further along, to really provide that one-to-one founder mentorship. And we also pair them with a mentor in the industry as well. In addition to that, we provide support in marketing. We have a pretty robust in-house marketing team that provides them with support if they need it in marketing. We work with a PR firm and help them get placements through that partnership as well. And you'll hear from my colleague, Christian Gaddis, who represents Forge Buffalo a little bit later on in this webinar. Forge Buffalo is our in-house talent recruiting, hiring arm. So we really help kind of take that load off of founders of having to screen candidates, do phone interviews. We can be as involved or as not as they would like in that process to really help with hiring as well. Yeah, I think that is it. And I will just say, similar to some of the pitch competitions coming up, I'll give a shout out that October 12th, Thursday, we have our annual pitch competition at Shays for next year's cohort, and tickets are free. So please visit 43north.org and we'd love to see you there. Thank you.
All right, terrific. Last in our accelerator category, Jim Sinal is here. He's the president of NextCore and the managing director of the Rochester Angel Network. One of the programs NextCore runs is Luminate. So, hey, Jim, thanks for being here.
Great. Hi, Noah. Thank you. And hello, everybody. As Noah said, Jim Sinal with NextCore. NextCore is a nonprofit or a venture development organization that we run, as you can see on the slide, a number of different programs. We've got incubators. We've got several industry vertical accelerator programs. We're also a NIST MEP Center and an innovation hotspot. But here today to talk about probably our largest program, which is the Luminate Accelerator Program. That is an accelerator program focused on optics, photonics, and imaging related startup companies. Again, from anywhere in the world, like we've heard from our colleagues on other programs. We start in the spring. We pick 10 teams that get an initial $100,000 investment in the spring. And then over the 6-month program, at the end at finals, we then make follow-on investments in the top 3 or 4 of those, the top investment being $1 million follow-on. So it's probably no coincidence that all of us run our programs generally from spring to fall as we're attracting startups to New York State. Might be something to that. But our finals are scheduled for September 27th in person in Rochester. And then we're taking the teams to New York City the following day for meetings with investors. We are just finalizing cohort 6. And then once that's finalized and finished, we will start recruiting for cohort 7. So thanks. And I look forward to answering any questions at the end.
All right, great. And Jim, I just want to say winter's not that bad mostly, right?
We love it.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to talk now about incubators. So incubators, different from accelerators in that they are spaces more than they are programs. Many of them have programmatic approaches that coincide with space. generally that space is physical, although sometimes people may hold virtual space in a virtual incubator. So, but the concept is not so much a short-term accelerant, but more of a midterm relationship that lasts usually up to 3 years. So, and again, there are exceptions to every rule, but this is a generalization about what an incubator is. So here to talk about incubators from the perspective of the organization that represents all of them in New York, the Business Incubator Association of New York State. Michael Gertowski is here. And so, Michael, I'm glad to see you and glad to have you here talking about your work.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for organizing this. And thank you, Bailey. This is actually a really helpful webinar, I think, for people. So I think that was a really good example of how, entrepreneurs have a lot of resources in New York State compared to other states. So one of our big things is just trying to promote our membership and promote to entrepreneurs outside of New York and within New York that they should look into the accelerator and incubator programs here. So we are a trade association, we're a nonprofit, and we encompass all of the incubators within New York State who want to join our membership. We also have a few accelerators in our membership as well, and we're looking to actually grow that as, too. So as you can see, our main function is to support the incubators and our membership to New York State. The incubators are given yearly funding from New York State economic development programs, and we try to make sure that that funding is secure every year and that we can get more if we need some, and just supporting the incubators and finding out how we can best represent them to New York State. Our secondary function is to provide communication between incubators, accelerators, and entrepreneurs, within the ecosystem, so that people are, we want to make sure that everybody is talking and sharing best practices. The team is actually just me and Mark. We're both entrepreneurs ourselves. We are a member-led organization. As you can see, Mark is the executive director. He has a much better headshot than I do, way more clear because I'm just the deputy director. So the two of us lead the organization, and we have a great member-led board of 9 members who from most of the major universities. So we're really excited about the programs that we're building, and our networking events. We have a webinar series. We have a monthly newsletter. We make sure that all of the events and competitions that the accelerators are doing are in our newsletter, that entrepreneurs are able to see what's going on in the ecosystem. And we're kind of that cohesive group keeping everybody together. Our biggest and most fun event that everybody should be aware of just passed in June, which is our yearly conference, but we're going to do one every year. And we get together all of the incubators, accelerators, a couple of venture capitalists into our, and New York State officials into our annual conference. We have panelists and presentations, and me and Mark are both, economic development generalists, I would say, through our businesses. And so we're really interested in understanding what is working, why, and where, and sharing those best practices with other incubators. So the organization came about in 2005 when a lot of these economic development initiatives were coming out, and a lot of the partners in those initiatives weren't talking to each other. So it became pretty clear that they needed to establish some sort of network or community within the ecosystem. And so that's where we step in. And, for the entrepreneurs out there, I think our biggest resource that you could use, me and Mark, you can see my email there, is that if you have any questions about, we have a bird's eye view about which incubators are doing what and why and how. We also know all the different people, and we have all of our contacts within our membership. So we're able to kind of direct people, hey, I'm looking for an incubator that specializes in this, I'm looking for an accelerator that specializes in that, and we're able to point them in the right direction. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to email me, and definitely go to theanis.org and sign up for our newsletter. I work very hard on it, so I would really appreciate it more if a lot of people read it. It's a great resource. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And we're launching a few new programs in 2024 that we're really excited about. So stay tuned.
Great. So glad to have you here. And thanks for the work that you're doing in connecting everybody in the ecosystem.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so we're going to switch gears and talk about jobs. I think, Michael's comment on, we are also entrepreneurs ourselves applies to a lot of people. And some entrepreneurs need full-time jobs while they are trying to build their side hustle, and some people need part-time jobs, but there are avenues to connect into organizations that appreciate the entrepreneurial mindset that people bring to their work. And so up next, I want to introduce Christian Gaddis here from Forge Buffalo to talk about the work they're doing locally and within the Buffalo region. And unfortunately, we don't yet have analogous organizations across New York, but that's probably an area of opportunity for us. And the Invest New York platform helps to fill some of that. But here, let's hear what is happening at Forge. Hi, Christian.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate being able to be here. As Cindy touched on earlier, right, Forge Buffalo, we're a part of 43 North. And our mission really is to connect talent with startups and tech companies in the Buffalo area. And occasionally, when the moment is right, we tend to have some folks in Rochester that we're able to work with as well. And so we do this through a number of ways, one of which is our job board, which is really an aggregate of all job opportunities in the Buffalo area. And again, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes Rochester, for all startups and tech companies. We understand that, folks with an entrepreneurial spirit or who want to work for a startup or a tech company, they're looking for different opportunities than the standard corporate opportunities. And so we make it easy on them so that way they don't have to search multiple companies' websites or LinkedIn pages, or other, various sources, that they can go to one spot and see all the jobs listed right there. We also reach out to candidates in our talent network directly through our weekly email. We call it The Drop. It hits inboxes every Thursday at 11. And it's just a rundown of the latest opportunities that have hit our job board in the last week. And we also have a talent network that candidates can join. We've really simplified it. We like to say we ask people to tear up their resume. So joining our talent network, all you need is your name, your email address, and then you connect your LinkedIn account into our system. And so then the founders, the hiring managers, and other folks on the back end that are looking to fill roles can find you based on your skills. And you don't have to worry about having an outdated resume in a PDF form just sitting as a file, because as you update your LinkedIn account, it updates on our back end as well. So you can rest assured in knowing that they are seeing really your most up-to-date information. Cindy touched on this earlier, but we work very closely with the 43 North portfolio companies as they come in to help them identify talent, figure out what roles they need, and we really are involved as much as they're as little as they'd like us to be. But we do also extend to that larger startup and tech ecosystem in the Buffalo area. So if you are a company in that area, you don't get the full access of the recruiters, but you do have access to our talent network. We will post your jobs on our site, and we will invite you to our events that we host within the community. And these range from small scale networking events and panel discussions to larger career fairs, which we actually have one coming up next week on Thursday, the 14th, from 4 to 7 p.m. So if you are interested in attending or know anyone in the area that is interested in attending, you can go to forgebuffalo.com/716 career fair to get more details, to register, or even if you're interested in possibly tabling at the event, you're welcome to do that as well. We always say, even if you're not hiring, just knowing that as a startup or a tech company or a new business in the area, building that brand awareness and name recognition, it's a great opportunity to table, to connect with folks in the ecosystem and build that brand awareness. So that way, when you are ready to hire, people know who you are and what you're doing. And if you need anything, my contact info is also on that site. So again, just forgebuffalo.com/716 career fair. Thanks so much.
Awesome, Christian. Thanks for being here. And it's very cool what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So one of the questions that, or one of the challenges that comes up in entrepreneurship, especially on the hard science side, is how do I go from the research lab to a business? And so there are many steps, and many, at least some of the incubators and accelerator programs are equipped to help primarily researchers make that transition. But intellectual property is a key piece of that strategy. And so here to talk about one of the great resources we have in New York, I'm glad to introduce Brian Gerling, who runs the Innovation Law Center, the Science and Technology Law Center. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Noah. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. As Noah said, my name is Brian Gerling. I am the executive director here at the Innovation Law Center and a member of the faculty at the Syracuse University College of Law. We are the designated New York State Science and Tech Law Center and have been for over 20 years now. We are a NYSTAR asset, and while we're housed here at Syracuse University, our reach is statewide. We work with early stage startup companies from Long Island and from the North Country and from the city, from Buffalo, Rochester, Albany, and all areas in between. So our mission is to serve the early stage technology company ecosystem throughout New York State. So what do we do? Think of Shark Tank, right? You've all seen Shark Tank, and what the sharks want to know. Do you have intellectual property? Do you have a patent around your particular technology that they're trying or product they're trying to sell to the sharks? And so the service that we provide here at the New York Innovation Law Center is a couple of things. One is how we work with early stage technology companies to identify and help them secure competitive advantages around that technology, right? And that's twofold. One is from a legal standpoint, what is your path to securing patent protection around that technology? Because if you can secure patent protection around that technology, it's a grant. A patent right is a grant from the government that allows you to exclude all others from practicing that invention for 20-year period. So by definition, you now have a competitive advantage. And so what we provide is much like were you to apply for a patent at the Patent and Trademark Office, the patent examiner is going to scour all of the existing what's called prior art, all of the articles and other patents and other publicly available information that predates your filing. And we do a similar process. So we provide these due diligence reports around a patent landscape. So what else is out there around your technology, and what is your path towards securing patent protection on that particular invention? We are technology agnostic here at the Innovation Law Center. So for example, we work on anything from uncrewed systems management technologies to AI to medical devices, et cetera. And so if your particular technology is regulated by the government, we also provide a landscape study around, for example, on a medical device, what you would be up against as you move through the FDA process. The other side of the house that we provide is we partner with our friends at the Whitman School of Management, and we provide a market study for you around that technology. We package that patentability study, that market study together in one report for you that you can then take to a funder and say, look, I've de-risked my idea, and here's why I'm a better investment risk than the other 30 or 40 people you'll talk to today.
So Brian, thank you. I think you guys are doing really important work, and I'm glad to have you here to share that.
Thank you, Noah.
Yeah, anything else you want to add before we wrap here?
Nope, just on the screen, you can see there, you can contact us at nyssstlc@syr.edu, or my email address is bjgerlin, no G at the end, at syr.edu. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. All right, next up, we're going to talk a little bit about innovation hotspots. There's one in each region, and they are aggregators of information and resources for entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial activity. So up next, I'm glad to introduce Eliza Edge here from the Hudson Valley.
Thanks so much, Noah. So as Noah mentioned, if you are calling from New York State, then you have an innovation hotspot that's assigned to you. So we do a lot. In the beginning of ESD's definition, first of all, we incubate companies. And then secondly, we're meant to coordinate our regional entrepreneurial ecosystem. So in the next slide, as you see, the Hudson Valley Venture Hub is our region's innovation hotspot. And I imagine for many of the other regional hotspots, they have similar incubation services based on our reporting needs. So we really focus on revenue, capital, and creating jobs for our companies. And then within those three tracks, we offer very highly individualized programming that helps startups with things like paid advisement, student contractors, and pitching opportunities. Plus, it's worth noting that all innovation hotspots actually have the ability to offer New York State tax incentives, and that's for any of our eligible and currently incubating companies. If you go to the next slide, you'll see some examples of how we do the second part of the job, which is entrepreneurship convening. So events like the ones you see here on the screen are ways that we sort of check the box by offering collaboration corners. And then we're partnering with Upstate Capital next week to produce a cannabis summit. So these are the types of things that we do in order to have our counties and our communities be in communication and sharing these amazing resources and programs that we have out there. And then finally, to wrap it up on the next slide, Hotspots goals are really to improve the quality and quantity of regional incubators to help startups reach commercialization. So I interpret this as sort of rising tides lifts all boats. If you want to know where to start in growing your company, contact your hotspot so you can either get connected to the amazing resources locally, or perhaps you're even eligible for each hotspot's in-house incubation services. So thanks.
Awesome. And as you can probably tell, Eliza is a great partner with me, or for me, and the Venture Hub with Upstate Capital. So appreciate you being here and all the work you do to lift all the boats. Okay. So we've heard NYSTAR mentioned a number of times, and I'm very pleased to introduce the newly installed Executive Director of New York's Division of Science and Technology Research, Ben Van Verschuren.
Thanks, Noah. Actually, all the other speakers have made my job really easy because when you look at NYSTAR, really our role in the world is to help kind of make New York one of the best places to come for small businesses, innovators, any of those types of companies. And we do that by funding all of these different opportunities, really, which are, two main goals when I kind of look across this portfolio. One is, how do we remove the barriers towards doing this important work in New York State? So that's, again, anything from technical innovation to small business and startups to, we have a broad network of manufacturing support. But how do we make New York, the #1 destination in the country for you to bring your company, create those jobs, and continue to grow our great ecosystem? And that's the other part, is that word ecosystem has come up many, many times. And so a lot of these different assets are really around how do you build that connectivity across the state, across the companies, across our universities, with government, and all the different ways that can really help you as you're on this journey to kind of take your business from early stage all the way through a large scale company that's bringing great things to the state. So again, you heard all about those accelerators, the incubators, the hotspots. Many of them you saw, the Empire State Development and New York Division of Science, Technology, and Innovation, otherwise called NYSTAR. And really that's the role that we play, is to help enable all these great opportunities. We kind of we invest in the investors. We create these connectors, these centers of excellence, these incubators, these accelerators, so that they're providing you with the tools that you need to be successful in New York. So I don't need to spend too much more time because everyone did the best job they could in explaining what NYSTAR does, which is we enable everything that you've heard about so far in terms of providing funding and resources to create all these great opportunities for you to take part in. So with that, feel free to reach out to me directly. As Noah mentioned, I'm new to the role. This is conclusion of week 2. So this has actually been great for me to learn even more in detail and meet many of the people across our network. But again, there's about 70 assets that NYSTAR funds, which I think touch about 1,000 different companies in the state indirectly. So super excited to step in the role, and feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions. Thanks.
Well, we're very excited to have you in the role, Ben. So welcome. And we didn't intend to give you a crash course on on what's happening in New York, but hopefully this is helpful in that direction. Okay, I am going to continue the conversation. One of the big questions that everybody asks is, how do I get money for my business? And I've been working in and around access to capital for over 20 years. And I have a presentation that I give, and I've done a bunch of talks on access to capital. The short answer is most people self-fund. And so generally speaking, if you're really committed to what you're doing, you're begging and borrowing and stealing from your savings, from your credit cards, from your parents, from your friends. And so that's really how many people get started. But fortunately, there are also some other resources. And so here to talk about both grants and venture capital, we have a couple of people here to talk about other people's money. And so first off, I'm going to welcome back Patty Reschberger to talk about the grant landscape here in New York. Hi, Patty.
Hello. I am going to talk briefly about access to non-dilutive grants. This is the holy grail of funding, basically free money, right? But keep in mind that putting together a quality application that is likely to be funded can be extremely resource consuming, as grant opportunities tend to be highly competitive. Slide, please. Do make sure that the opportunity you're seeking is a good fit for your product. Basically, if you're painfully twisting your project to fit the program, you're better off saving your time and money for a different opportunity. Slide. Some very popular sources, slide please, of grant money are the Small Business Innovation Research and the Small Business Technology Transfer Programs. These are federally funded programs meant to encourage research and development towards the commercialization of innovative products and solutions. Just under a dozen federal agencies receive different amounts of funding, and each agency develops their own programs, including eligibility requirements, scoring criteria, product, industry, or challenge focus, and award amounts per phase. They also have different rates of application approval. This last bit is important because depending on your technology, more than one agency may have a program that is a good fit for you, and you may have a better chance applying to one agency versus another. You may even have a better chance of applying to an agency that has a lower award amount, but you're more likely to actually get it. Slide, please. The STTR program requires the businesses to collaborate with a research institution, leading to technical knowledge transfer from academia to the market. Much like the STTR, Fuse Hub also has a grant program called Manufacturing Grants. Again, this is for the manufacturing companies in New York, the manufacturing startups. For the manufacturing grants, you can be at any stage of development. And this requires a partnership with a New York State not-for-profit in order to achieve knowledge transfer to the marketplace. Finally, I like to highlight that NYSTAR funds a matching SBIR STTR assistance program, allowing eligible New York State companies to hire a qualified consultant to help them develop a grant proposal. For example, University of Buffalo, Cornell, and Stony Brook universities all offer this assistance. There's more universities that offer this assistance as well. You can find details of all of these programs online, or feel free to reach out to me and I can guide you. Thank you.
Great. Important resources. And now, the other version of other people's money is dilutive funding that buys equity in your business. So Josh Nelson is here to talk about venture capital from the perspective of New York Ventures and the work that he's doing in their pre-seed and seed fund.
Hi, everyone. It's great to meet you all. I'm calling in from Buffalo, New York. As Noah mentioned, my name is Josh Nelson. I'm a member of the New York Ventures team, which is a state-run venture capital fund. If you don't mind going to the next slide. I'm going to share just a really high-level picture of all of the different funds that we offer, but I'm going to mostly focus on this first bucket of the direct investment. So direct investment means that we're investing directly into companies. The primary difference between the pre-seed and seed fund and the New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund is stage of development. So again, I'm the director of the pre-seed and seed fund. Then we have an amazing team of investors working on the Innovation Venture Capital Fund, which is focused on later stage to Series B companies. And then we also do have two indirect investment vehicles, which essentially are investing into emerging fund managers, as well as accelerators, incubators, and venture studios around the state. So those are those two buckets. If you don't mind switching to the next slide. I'm going to mostly focus on the pre-seed and seed fund, and then kind of acknowledge some of the differences between the Innovation Venture Capital Fund. But for the pre-seed and seed fund, to highlight our investment size, we make investments between $50,000 and $250,000. It's an application-based fund. So if you feel like you meet the basic qualifications, if you feel like we're a good fit as a capital partner, you can submit an application. I'll send the link to our fund in the chat when I'm done. We have a $30 million fund. It just launched in January of this last year. So some people ask, like, are you going to run out of money? Do I have to apply now? We should be good for quite some time, so no worries there. That said, we have been a very active fund. So actually, even since I sent these slides over, we've increased our portfolio size from 15 to 17 companies. We just crossed the $3 million threshold of investments made in this year, in our first year, which is exciting. Just quickly, you'll see some of the base level eligibility requirements. This is what you need to even be eligible for funding from us. We are still going to do a very rigorous analysis of your application. Definitely think of us as institutional venture capital dollars, not a check the box program where if you meet eligibility, it means that we'll be kind of waiting for funding. One important thing to note here is that we do matching investments. And so when you kind of receive investments, we can kind of match those qualified investments on a one-to-one basis to essentially double the impact. And then we have a few specific focus areas that we focus on. You'll see key sectors mentioned here, which are not an exhaustive list, but a highlight of some of the industries that we focus our energy on for investments. And then we also intentionally invest in diverse teams, in diverse New York State geographies. Think outside New York City, upstate Western New York, where there's often been historically less access to venture capital. If you don't mind flipping to the next slide, I'm going to go through this one super quickly and really just pull out a couple of the key differences between the pre-seed and seed fund and the New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund. The first, as you'll see, is the stage of development and the investment size. So these check sizes are from $250,000 to $3 million. Some of the key differences here, you'll see a tighter key sector focus area. So the pre-seed and seed fund is a little bit more open in terms of that. And then rather than an application, if you feel like this is a better fit for you, you actually will connect directly to our New York Ventures investor team. And that's how you kind of initiate the relationship with us. So again, I'll send the link in the chat to the pre-seed and seed fund. We actually have just launched virtual office hours that anyone can sign up for if you feel like there's more questions. Obviously, this is really high level overview, and then I'll submit or send you all the two program email inboxes for the pre-seed and the Innovation Venture Capital Fund. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh, and welcome to the team. So next up, I am going to just give you a couple of parting words here, and we will stick around for questions for the last few minutes of the hour. The main thing I want to say is that every company here should make sure that you have claimed your profile on Invest New York. So the Invest New York platform is it's digital, it's asynchronous. It gives you if you claim that profile, you are going to be able to have control over what is shown publicly, but you're going to show up in lists that people are looking at to track new and emerging companies. So as well as transaction activity. So I would encourage everybody to claim their profile on Invest New York and make that useful, that system useful to you. And if you are struggling to figure that out, certainly get in touch with us. I would also, encourage you to reach out to all of the people who are here today. So I want to thank all the people who spoke and shared the work that they're doing. I want to thank you for doing the work and for being here today. The copy of these slides will be available to everybody who's registered for this. And with that, I'm going to say thank you and good luck with your future endeavors.